you need a UI designer. Either you have that capability that you can design wireframes, or you can hire, or you can create a UI design which helps you to get through the process. But in actual market, for professional development of Android, you need a UI designer. You need a designer who will give you icons, who will give you the UI, how the screen will look like, how different screens will look like, and from that you will start building up your app. Then the developer comes in. He has the UI design. He says, okay, this is my screen. I have to build it. This is my design. This is what the features I have to support. Now get started. Then the developer part comes in. Then tester, or either developer tests this or the tester tests it. The tester, as I said, is very important in mobile platforms. He will have to test in different devices. He will test the features. He will first have to test the features of the mobile app. Then he will have to test the compatibility, different screen sizes, different platforms, and all those things. So this tab is mostly for the UI designers and for developers to skim through, so that you know what are the integrities of design, what are all things that we need to take care of. And this is develop where we come in as an Android developer. Just keep it, but you have to download this. Just single click download for all the things for Android. Install it on your system. Okay. Android. How to develop on Android? Android uses an ADT plugin, Android development plugin on Eclipse. So Eclipse, do you know how many of you know Eclipse? 2 or 3, 4. Okay, that's fine. Eclipse is just an IDE. IDE is interface just like the Turbo C++, right? It's an interface to write program. I wrote in Notepad. It was very cumbersome, right? In Turbo C++, we have different. When I write cout, it comes in different color. When I write variable, it comes in different color. When I write operate, it comes in different color. That's an IDE. It helps you to write code better. Eclipse is also an IDE, just like that. It helps you write code. It helps you manage your code better, projects better. Okay, it's not a big deal. You will just go through it and you will just find it easy. You will just get a hang of it in half an hour. So Eclipse is the IDE for it. I cannot connect my Mac to your system as of now because I don't have connector. Otherwise, I would have shown you. And this machine does not have it. So I'll show it next time. Whenever I've actually told you how to set up the development environment, how to set up all those things to get you started, and a Hello World example, of course. But before that, this is where you want. It will install an Eclipse and ADT plugin, Android SDK, software development kit. What's the software development kit? What is software development kit? Right, that's one definition. So a software development kit is a combination of libraries and their interfaces. Interfaces are nothing but APIs. I told you what are APIs, right? When I discussed hooks, when I discussed abstraction, that suppose you want to give your code to somebody else, you don't want to give your whole code, you just give binary and an interface to it, right? So it's a collection of interfaces and libraries. Along with that, some other tools, plus tutorials, plus samples to a third party, so that he can use your library easily and develop his own software. So it contains set of libraries, contains tutorials, it contains a sample to run it, it contains tutorials, it contains documentation also. So Android SDK will be installed automatically. Android SDK is nothing but APIs and libraries which you will use to code in Android. Okay. But that doesn't mean all that this Android SDK will amount to about 50-60 MB. It doesn't mean your app will be 50-60 MB. It will just help you compile and build a binary. When binary will run on a mobile, it already has that SDK inside it. It will use that code for those libraries to run. Okay, and that is why I said, suppose if in a mobile the new API is not there, it will crash. Suppose you have built for 4.2 and API is in 4.2 and you are running your mobile app in 2.3 and it does not have an API, it will crash. Normally mobile applications in Android range from 500 KB to 2 MB, not more than that. You can pass it on mails. Okay. The Android platform tools, latest Android platform, latest Android image emulator, all those things I will show when I will have a live session with an Eclipse on my system and I will show you on the projector. Okay. So this is what you have to download to let you get started. When you will download it, You will get tutorials, you will get samples, and you will get started with Android development. You can try an Hello World application on it if possible, if you are able to, but I'll cover it for sure in the next class. Okay. So are there any questions? I hear a lot of noise from the back. Any questions or anything you're not able to understand? Guys? Are you able to understand? Okay. So training. Building your first app. That is what we will go through next time. How to create your first Hello World app. Hello World is the first application that you make while learning a language. When you learn C, you created an Hello World. When you learn C++, you created a Hello World. When you created Java, learned Java, you created a Hello World. And Android also will create a Hello World. Just the thing is, it will run on a mobile, not on your desktop. Okay. So when we will meet next time, we will create this Hello World app. I will let you go through the different components in the program structure of an Android, how the UI is created, where the UI components are there, where the string components are there, where are values stored, where are libraries stored, where the code is stored, and how the APK is made. APK is the binary for Android platform. APK is what you put in Android device and it will run. APK is application package. Okay. So this is a brief introduction. Developer.android.com. You can the training part of it where you can get started. If you are a novice, you will have a difficulty in understanding it. But the course curriculum that I gave you, I have made it in such a way as per my experience when I was learning it, what difficulties I faced, and what are the kind of industry standards that we are following, what kind of things that you require the most for building an app. So that is how I've created course curriculum. And let me just go through that. Although you have read the pages, but I'll just go through in my own way. So as I said, the prerequisites for OOPS and core Java language. The Java language you can just touch through. You can just program how to create a class and how to create a simple application. Then SQL would be needed at the later stage when we will discuss about how to store data in Android. Then introduction to this, I've covered most of the part of it. These are three things that are left, I would say. Otherwise that. So introduction to Android, then go to the fundamentals of Android. What are the basic building blocks of Android? I have just given a detail of an activity. What is an activity, right? What is an activity? What is an activity? Any one of you? Screens. So every screen is an activity. Okay. Then there are services. Services are nothing but those which run in background, receivers, content providers. Then various UI components that you can use in building your activity. What are the various components in UI? Although you can see it through in this tab also. UI overview, styles, patterns, building blocks. There are so many things, but I will just walk you through that with examples, of course. Then application structure. What are the various application structures? What is Android manifest file, permissions file, how resources are stored, how do you store images, and then we will deploy a sample application to a real world device. Then the UI part, we'll go into details. What is an MVC architecture and all those stuffs. List views, building another activity, building application with more than one activity. Alerts and toast, pop-ups, examples. How we can launch different activities from once, what are intents, how we share data between different activities which are needed for different, with examples of course in my real world which I had faced. Implicit intents, explicit intents. Then how to debug an application, what are the different tools Android provides. So by this time you would be able to make an application with more than one activity, would be able to debug it, and would be able to make simple applications out of it. Then we will go to the more advanced part of it, which is styles and themes, notifications, processes and threads, how to run things in background, the processing power that I talked about. Then data storage, how to store data, because of course an application will be created and you will again launch it, you will require some data which has been stored inside it. Then how network connectivity, how the application will connect to internet, what is the HTTP protocol, how through that you will get the information, how can you send information, how can you upload a video, how can you upload an image, and all those things. What is JSON? JSON is a hot format for data passing in uh, nowadays in internet. XML is far gone. People now use JSON. So what is JSON? How JSON parsing is done? Then after that, in the last, if we get time, we'll touch upon advanced topics, and if we get more time, we could get into more details, which is where all those advanced topics like maps, GPS, action bar, support library, and all those things will come in. How to make a call, how to SMS, what are fragments, how to do optimizations, and all those things. But before that, of course, I think I would need to have some classes for Java also, because I don't want to be unfair to students who are in second semester, because if you don't go through Java, then you will not. I'm afraid you will not able to learn Android as fast as other guys. So we'll go through Java also. So thanks. So here I conclude my demo lecture. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Right. 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 Okay. Is okay. So as you said, it's correct that Android runs on Linux kernel. The underlying system for Android is Linux. Okay. Now it's a misconception that virus cannot run on Linux. It has more security systems, of course, but why viruses are not there in Linux is because there is sandboxing. In fact, I will talk about Android. There is a sandboxing. Your application can only run in your own sandbox. It cannot touch other things. But there are things called permissions in Android. There is various permissions. You can give permissions to Android using the Android application when it installs. Yeah, have you ever installed Android application on your devices? Any application from App Store? So when you install an application from App Store, it asks for certain permissions. Is there an application able to connect to internet? Can this application have your data, read your data? Can this application write on your data, delete your data? Can this application can access GPS information? So those are the kind of permissions that you provide. You say okay, then only application will install. If you say not, application will not install. So those are the permissions that each application can have. Now sometimes people just ignore them and just say okay and install it. Now that application can be a virus. It can delete all your SD card data because you have given permission to it. Ideally, it will only have access to data which only in its sandbox, which only it has created. But since you have given permission to that application to access your SD card also, it can delete our access SD card. So by chance, if you download any such application which misuses your permissions, then of course you will have problems. And it's a misconception that Linux will not have virus. Linux can also have virus. It's only that Windows are much more popular and it's easy to bring virus on Windows. If people focus on Linux also, they can have virus in Linux also. It's just that it's more secure and robust, and it's hard to break. And people who will make viruses, they don't want to make viruses for only 1% of system which are used in Linux. Are very they're used mostly in servers or something like that, which are inside a firewall. So why would a person make a virus and target 1%, which is also on a firewall? Rather, you will make viruses of Windows which are much more used, that is 85% or 90%, right? So person who will make virus in that platform which are used widely, so that his virus will affect more people, right? Any other questions? So thanks. It's been great session with you. I hope I would come again. But I will come again. If I come again, I would like you to be more interactive and ask me more questions, because unless you will ask question, I will not know if you are getting it or not, and if I want